This is Laoshi Lawrence McElroy, and here we are. Hey, just struck 10:15 on my laptop time, so that must mean ta-da. So it is Tuesday morning. It is 10:15. So in this time of home alone together, we are doing these weekly live sessions for a couple of reasons. One, just to maintain some sense of normalcy in our world. And two, part of that extends specifically to a couple of groups of people. On Monday mornings at 10 a.m., we do one of these live sessions for the folks who are missing their program at Sachem Public Library in Holbrook. And on Tuesday mornings at 10:15 a.m., for those from the West Babylon Public Library program that's been suspended in this time of COVID-19. Now, as I mentioned last week, as far as the Tuesday morning thing goes, got some bad news and some good news. The bad news is this is one of the last two of these we'll be doing on Tuesday morning. But the good news side of that is that we are scheduled to begin a remote studio-style class for West Babylon Public Library on June 2nd. So the library will have more information on that. I show up, I teach. They handle the administration, all aspects of setting up the technology. Well, not all, because they will not be in my house setting up my technology, but determining what platform we're using, that sort of thing, and they'll take care of registration. So anyway, so we got this week and next week. Now, a word about the Monday session. Don't worry, it's not going away, except for one day, and that's Memorial Day. We'll not be doing a live session for Sachem next Monday on Memorial Day. We're going to take the day to honor those who have fallen in the service of our country, and extending that thought to not only the people serving on the front lines in this crisis and those we have lost who have been serving on the front lines, but also just those we have lost to COVID-19. So anyway, without further ado, what are we going to do this morning? We're going to continue this ongoing, because there's still a lot to do in Varieties, the Spice of Tai Chi. And after a little warm up, we're going to do something for the upper body, something for the lower body, so we can get some blood and some oxygen going before we do what we're going to do. Because a couple of the sources, or a couple of sort of the schools of thought, but what we use in the studio for variety, we have this thing. Good morning, Linda. We don't have this thing. Good morning, Linda. And Linda just said hi, so I said hi to her. We have this bag in the studio we call the Bag of Fun, and it has some items in it. We did a YouTube video on being blindfolded. We did a YouTube video on adding a little extra weight. Those things are in the Bag of Fun. We also have what we refer to as Taiji lottery. So I don't know if you can see those or not. There are all sorts of little approaches. Play Tai Chi and really emphasize the linear. Quicksilver means as fast as possible. Molasses is in there somewhere. There's molasses. We did that a few weeks ago in one of these live sessions. Today is this one. It is Dalton X. What the heck does that mean? Well, earlier this morning, Water Tiger School posted a link to a YouTube video showing Patrick Swayze in the movie Roadhouse as the character Dalton playing Tai Chi. I reference this all the time because it's like, well, he's not really playing Tai Chi. Because, I mean, his shirt is off. That's not what we mean. Dalton X does not mean Tai Chi X-rated or Tai Chi with our shirts off. It means Tai Chi with activation, with added activation, more activation than we should have, because it's our approach that you should always be relaxed and flowing, no real muscle tension, that sort of thing. But playing with more activation than is really necessary really opens your eyes to certain things in your play. So that's where our focus is going to go, what we call Dalton X. And for the X, or the extreme, Dalton Extreme, I had to wear my P90X t-shirt. So Power 90 Extreme, by the way, from Beachbody. So This will make more sense as we get into it, but we're going to do a little warm-up. Oops, I should have grabbed my iPhone so I can use the stopwatch function, because we're going to do a little march before we get some stretching going on. Just a couple of real quick stretches here. We want to get some blood, some oxygen going. So we're going to do a little two-way march. Maybe we'll do a four-way march, because there's another variation of a march that we haven't done in this setting before. We're going to march for about 20 seconds, knees up. Bring your knees to your hands, not your hands. I'm not dribbling the knees, hammering them. Or I can do palm down. Or I can do one closed fist and one palm. We're going to open them up if you can. Change is sort of where the emphasis of the march is going, the action, and into the quad area, a little bit more into the hip flexors when you open your knees up. Breathing. Now, there are a lot of other things that I tend to do, and we're going over our 20 seconds here when we're marching. We're going to go back to knees up. We're going to do a little, just a reach up, sort of goalposts, and bring to the knee, and we're going to do that at a little bit quicker pace. You know, I run into in place for a while in about 3 different ways. I do some what's known as half jacks when I want to get the blood and the oxygen going, that sort of thing. Now, to finish what's ending up to be about a minute and a half plus of marching. So we're going to make the movement bigger up and really slow it down. So control your balance a little bit from leg to leg. Don't worry, we're not going to do the run. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then just shake that out. So little huggers. A little shuffle back and forth. I especially, my training area, the area that I'm using, the Water Tiger and I are using for our studio, is my personal training area in my townhouse. It's in the basement. It is well insulated from the winter months. So it holds the cold winter temperatures, so it's a little chilly down here. So I like to be a little bit warm before I do a stretch. Now, we're only going to do 2 stretches, one for the upper body, one for the lower body. The lower body one's kind of physically active again, but there's sort of, you can turn down the volume on that a little bit. We're going to do, for the upper body, what is sort of officially called the chest, back, shoulder, compression extension stretch. I think that's it. That's a mouthful. I like to call it the awning stretch because it's a little bit like what you would do if you really wanted to get a good upper body activation out of your yawn. No, my feet are beyond shoulder wide. I'm going to start with a little squat. I'm not going to go down too deep here, but because we're squatting, a couple of things. Even a shallow squat, you want the weight to the heels, not to the balls of the feet. And you want the knees to track the same direction as the toes. So if I'm a little less open in the quad, my toes are going to be forward. I'm going to squat and my knees are going to stay forward. If I'm a little bit more open in the quad where the inner upper thigh comes into contact with the pelvic bowl, my toes are going to be out, my knees are going to be out. So I do a little cross of the arms as I squat down. I'm going to reach up, palm to palm, plug the fingers into the sky, palm to palm. Now turn the palms forward. So my palms are facing my camera. Yours should be facing your screen. Move back down into the squat while you're reaching the elbows and the backs of the hands behind you as if you're seeking to reach that wall there and scraping the wall with those 2 items. Maybe an inhalation up. This isn't Tai Chi, this isn't Qigong, so you want to let out that big old yawning kind of exhalation. 3rd time. And down. More power to you. If you want to groan like I did, I think we're going to do 4 this morning. Just because it feels really, really good. My chest, shoulders, and triceps workout I did yesterday. All right. Shake that out. So for the lower body, we're going to do sort of a little hop back and forth between the 2 feet in what is known as a polka stretch. Why is it a polka stretch? Because you can almost hear polka style music in the back of your head as you're doing this stretch. So this is the demonstration portion. I'll face you to start with for the demonstration portion. I'm going to reach across if I extend my right leg, I'm reaching with my left out to the outside of that foot as if I want to reach to the ground. Note the language, as if I want to reach to the ground. Well, that's not really correct because I do want to reach to the ground, but I don't want to force it. The ground is not the goal here. The stretch is the goal. So some of you might be in this position and up here, my left hand is still reaching toward the outside of my foot. My back is straight. I might be a little bit closer. I might be just at my pinky toe. I might be close to the floor. Whatever works for you. And this goes pretty rapidly. And that's sort of where we get the Oompa thing going, the polka thing going, because we reach, we switch, we reach, we switch, we reach, we switch. There's that little skip back and forth between the feet. This skip isn't necessary either. See, we have modifications, right? You don't want to injure yourself as you're warming up for your Tai Chi. So I like the skip, boom, boom, stand, reach, stand, reach, stand, reset, stand. Whatever works for you. Hell, if you want to, you can make it almost plyometric and jump up off the ground. Whoops, let me do that. Stretch, stretch, stretch. I don't even do that, except for right then. So a little polka stretch. I'm going to do 10 pairs. Note the use of the personal pronoun. I'm going to do 10 pairs. If you want to stop at 5 pairs or 4 pairs or 3 pairs, that's fine. Just if you stop early, just keep moving. So we're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's the first one. Second half of the first one. Here's 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5, 6 and 6, 7 and 7, 8 and 8, 9 and 9. There's my last one to that side and my last one to that side. And there you go. That's our warm up, a little yawning stretch, a little polka stretch. Enough to get the heart and the lungs going, get the blood flowing to the muscles a little bit, because we're going to be using them. All right, we're going to start with rails with a rotation. Rails with a rotation. Hopefully most, but probably not all of you know what that means. We're going to walk the railroad tracks. So we set up at shoulder width, right where the drop of the shoulder is, splits the heel on that side in half. Right where the drop of the shoulder is, splits that heel in half. And if I took vertical alignment out of it, that's what I'd be doing. A little like E.T., a little bit like a penguin, whatever you like. So that's the lower body. The upper body, let me formalize vertical alignment. Right, crown point of the head to the heavens, not lifted, but held, right? If I lift, notice everything really straightens and becomes taut. I want the spine to hang like a string of pearls, so it's relaxed. Crown point of the head held to the heavens, the chin is slightly down. That puts the crown point of the head the Bach way, the 100 convergences. If the perineum is anchored to the earth in alignment with one another, like there's a string of something hanging between the two. This is the anchor at the perineum. This is the Bach way, the crown point of the head held to the heavens. This is the spine, loose and relaxed. Those 2 points, as I walk, move back and forth, left and right, from ball of foot to ball of foot, from Young Quan bubbling well to Young Quan bubbling well. So crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot. Aligned here. Step, toes forward on their railroad track. Crown point of the head, base of the pelvic bowl, ball of the foot. Rotating the ball, one rotation means right hand's the top of the ball when the weight is in the right foot, and the left hand's the top of the ball when weight is in the left. Right and right, left and left. And I started with a step and a rotation eventually to the left, so I want to finish to the right. I want to balance the two sides. So that's the exercise, the underlying exercise we would normally do, as hopefully might have been evident by what I was just doing. Relaxed, no real tension, that sort of thing, no extra activation. So the intent that we have as we move, we often describe in the world of Tai Chi and in the classics and that sort of thing as swimming in air, because we want to feel the viscosity of the air. That's an image that gives us an idea that our movement should be relaxed, but still have intent. So we're going to turn up the volume of that image to get to the Dalton X idea. And that's swimming in concrete. Plus, normally we lightly hold the ball, right? Just enough so we know that the ball's there, that it has substance without weight. I'm not giving it weight, but what I'm going to do is really squeeze that ball. Really squeeze it. So you feel this activation. I can feel it in my lats. You can feel that pressing down against resistance. It is like, I should have brought the my Tai Chi ruler down. Boom, right? As if I have this ball. Now this is too small for my torso. And I'm really trying to bring my hands together and squeeze that ball tight. That ball doesn't give. It's a weighted medicine ball. So my squeezing would never get anywhere with that. Now, I have another weighted, a 2-pounder that keeps losing air. So you can see, what I'm trying to do is crush that ball between my hands. Only the ball doesn't exist. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be pretending, I'm going to have the imagination that elbow that has to move down and around has to force its way through concrete. That my foot, as it's going out, is working through the concrete to get to the ground. That I have to press that extra thick, viscous stuff out from underneath the foot to fill the foot. This is going to be some work, right? So breathe, don't hold your breath, but really feel, even as you're moving into that ready position, that there's resistance there to get to the ball. All the muscles are tight. Pretend you're playing next to Patrick Swayze, that all, maybe baby oil is involved, so you can see all the striations in your muscles as well. All the definition in your triceps, across your shoulders. Breathe. I'm stepping a little bit too easy. I'm focusing too much on my upper body. So I want to get that lower body into this. Really work on making that leg work to get through. See, hard work. We're going to take 2 more steps in rotating the ball. Really, sometimes I refer to this as like you're turning a valve. So you can imagine holding onto a valve that hasn't been turned in decades and it's rusted and resistant to your turning. And one last step, breathing, really working. And now got to press against that concrete to get those hands up and out. And then there's something there resisting you pressing down. And again, even coming into the Shia Dan Tien, that grainy, concretey stuff has to be pushed away from your belly as you settle into your Shiatsu acupuncture point and your end of your casual closing. So shake that out a little bit. So that's rails with rotations. Now we're going to go back and do another pass the way we started, just to feel the difference. So loosen everything up, settle back into your vertical alignment. A couple of huggers if that helps, whatever you need. Maybe a head roll. And then settle in. Now, very subtle hold of the ball, flowing, floating, settling. Only the viscosity of the air now. And feel how everything opens up and is relaxed and gentle and different, and maybe playing with a little more awareness of that feeling after the previous working really hard to make it happen. That's rails with rotations. You can do this with your postures, whatever your form, whatever your approach. And by the way, some people do play with that kind of activation. I'm not sure exactly of their purpose in that, their justification of that. I could say that maybe it is for the same reason we do it occasionally. But so when it comes to actually applying their Tai Chi, they feel open and relaxed as opposed to the way that they're playing the form. Maybe they do it for this sheer reason that we're going to approach the postures, and that's working on 6 directional force. I didn't talk about it so much. I didn't talk about it at all with walking the rails as a foundational exercise. But the 6 directional force is how things are moving in 6 directions. Things are pressing forward and back at the same time, up and down at the same time, left and right at the same time. That was 6 directions. So if you really have no resistance, especially if you're not even paying attention to the viscosity of the air, if you're not swimming in air, if you're just moving, you're not going to have that intent. You're not going to have 6 directional force. You play with the viscosity of the air. If you swim in air, you may feel it a little bit, but when you swim in concrete, you can really start to feel how all the different parts of the body to get the hands into the correct position are moving in that dynamic way through. So it gives us that opportunity to do that. Now, again, as seems to be the case for whatever we are at now, week 342 of home isolation, I think. I always go to Parting Wild Horses Mane from our lineage. And again, Parting Wild Horses Mane looks different to different people and different lineages. Ours, our end of posture, I'll start facing this way. We're in 4 stance. Shoulder width from before. Back footed around a 45. I say around a 45 because our ideal is a 45. But it might be a little bit inside. It might be a little bit outside for whatever reason. A lot of times in my left leg, when it's back, it can't be at the 45. I have in that ankle and foot that sort of work against me sometimes. If I allow them to work against me, if I accept them, I adjust. And that's what I might have to do. That's why that foot isn't always at the 45. My hips are square. It's hip to be square. Shoulders and hips to the side, right? Not angled slightly forward. Definitely not angled this way. I'll need new knees if I do that. The front leg with the toes forward or in. Over the ankle is safest. Over the top of the foot is okay. Over and beyond the toes, not good. Not good at all. Or toes out when I'm in 4 stance. Not good. Right? So about 60-70% of the weight on the front leg, about 30-40% of the weight on the back leg. The hand that matches the forward leg is palm back at a height that's going to come in at right about mid-chest level. So if I had a laser pointer either on the center of my chest or in the center of the palm, they would be aligned. The lower hand, kind of like dribbling a basketball, right? Notice it's not inside my hip. It's beside my hip, but it's also in front of my hip. In all reality, for me, when I activate my wrist, and my wrist alone and not the elbow joint, just the activation, the compression that happens on the top side of the forearm, the extension that happens on the bottom side of the forearm, and that plays connectively up through the arm, pulls the hand forward, and it just sits in that position. That's the end of posture for parting the wild horse's mane. Of course, exactly the same on the other side, except it's on the other side. A mirror image. Note my elbow isn't out to the side, definitely not up, but slightly down. The extended arm is not locked off. It's bent, it's bowed. Boom. So that's parting the wild horse's mane. How we get into it, and we may not walk with this morning. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just do a rocking exercise so we don't have to work too hard this morning. I'd like you all to come back next week. And I don't want you to bail because I'm working you too hard this morning. Hey, we're not doing plyo. Right? So this is the end of posture, the beginning of posture, like when you first step. Where you're at, you have this ball. Sort of like the ball that we were rotating in rails with rotation. The ball is about the size of my torso. Right? But when I turn forward, the hand that's at the top descends down. The fingers pass very close together, and I end where I was. And then if I'm doing a rocking exercise, I simply, I use the S word, roll back. Sit back is probably a better word. And there I am. My nose, although your eyes will probably be at the screen, my nose, my knee, my toes, all kind of at the same direction here. Maybe a little bit even beyond for my nose, but not. My knee and my toes, same orientation. Turning forward. Boom. And then rock back. And again, those fingers pass very close together. And if I do that on the other side, same thing, only when I'm back, weight's in the left foot, so now the left hand's the top of the ball. When I turn to feel my right foot, the right hand comes up into the center of the chest. Right there. Please do not slap yourself in the center of the chest. Right? And if I do it, remind me that I shouldn't. Now that's a pretty soft tap. That's not a hard tap. I used to hit myself pretty hard in the chest to emphasize where that hand should be. I don't do it anymore because it led to something. Boom. And as Forrest would say, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Boom. So 60, 70% of the weight on the front leg, 30, 40% of the weight on the back leg, hand right there. So that's that exercise. And again, it should be, if you're doing the rocking exercise, should really be just like water flowing up on the beach, rolling back out into the ocean, rolling up on the beach, rolling back into the ocean. So like water flowing forward and flowing back and flowing forward and flowing back, because we're only dealing at this point with the viscosity of the air. We're going to add the viscosity of the concrete to really activate the muscles much more dynamically than we would in our regular Tai Chi. And again, whatever your form is, you can open and start to play through it in this method, maybe from beginning to end, and then go back and play the form the regular way, just to feel the difference. So here we are, we're settling in, even into this beginning of this turning into this back foot. And by the way, when you rock back, you can bring the front toes with you if you want. Just be sure when you turn forward that they end forward or slightly into your center line, and not that you're back here and then in with the toes angled out. You want them straight forward. So here, and again, just like before, I really want to feel the viscosity of the air, which means I really have to, if I'm really pressing my body through that thick, viscous concrete. I really have to drive that foot down and back like you're pushing a car. Okay, so here's something. I can no longer see myself. I lost the video feed from Facebook, but every other time that has happened, the video image and the auditory image continued. So I'm going to operate on the assumption that that is still happening. So I'm sorry if it isn't. And I'm sorry if the view of me, as I might do a couple of other things, becomes, and as you're coming back, I'm sort of releasing and I'm not going back through the concrete as I'm talking here. So I really want to feel, okay, I have to press this hand back, that I have to pull this hand back through the concrete and then press forward, almost grimace as you're working through, and feel, because of that activation, the stability leg has to be even more activated as you move. We're going to do a little casual close here, up against that very, very thick air of concrete. Drag that foot through. Really activate the quad, the glute, the hamstring. Press that heel down. Pressing that stuff out from underneath your foot. Working. Breathing. And then again, coming in, moving through the air, and boom. And guess what? That's only one side. So there's the left horse stance in my world, a left parting wild horse's mane in my world. The reason that I make that specification is some people will call this a right horse's mane, because we start with the weight in the right and we move into the left. I understand that, makes perfect sense, but I judge by where I end, not where I begin. So, other side, right horse's mane in my world, left horse's mane in others. Same sort of beginning place. Again, maybe not at the 45. We'll see where I am today. I wasn't paying attention earlier to know, but I think the 45 is actually okay for me today. Weather is cooperating. Barometric pressure isn't too bad. Setting that foot, making sure I'm shoulder wide. Boom. There's my railroad track. Step that foot forward. Shoulder width is determined by the heels, not the balls of the feet, no other part of the foot. I'm going to turn back, start to feel that concrete even here. Coming back, moving into that position. Breathing, turning forward, feeling that struggle against, like somebody's holding onto that arm, keeping it from coming up. Somebody's pressing up on that hand, keeping it from sinking down. Breathing. Working, feeling that heel drive down and back to move you through that thickness, and then coming back, feeling that heel and that foot really drive down so you can push the weight back into that back leg. Breathing, releasing, and relaxing. Well, not really relaxed here, but also being mindful of not overdoing it, right? If you have blood pressure issues, if you happen to be susceptible to stroke, this is not a good exercise for you. Major heart condition, again, probably not a good exercise for you. Rock back. Oops, sorry, I softened it too much. Let's go back and do that again. Coming back through that, feeling that, I'm not just setting the leg back. I have to work to get into the positions. Coming back and moving forward. Now this is sort of going, this is like, it's Dalton X, so it's beyond really what Patrick Swayze was doing in the form. I can play with more flow. One more time back. breathing, working. But that's odd. Turning forward, pulling forward. My screen's doing other fun things, so I still hope you can see me and hear me. I'm going to move into the closing here. Up, out, away from the body, in, working. If you've ever done our isometric forearm stretch in our old stretching set at Sachem, you're familiar with that, working the upper body through concrete image. And then again, pulling in, but having to work to get those hands through the air into that position. And settling. And shaking that out. So again, I can play that sort of Patrick Swayze version. You know, he's moving into single whip, and everything is taut, and his muscles are bulging. But it's not quite concrete. It's just really, really thick air. So I can still, oops, I'm going to do cloud hands. I can still have a little idea of a little Dalton and still play with sort of moderate tension instead of the extreme tension, the activation, and get an idea, a flavor of what it is we're seeking to do with this particular lottery choice, what we call at Water Tiger, Dalton X. So, since I'm not really sure if I'm talking and showing anybody anything at this point, I do believe I will call that an end. We're almost 40 minutes, 35 minutes into the session. That's pretty usual for us for these live sessions. So there you go. That was Variety is the Spice of Tai Chi. That was from Water Tiger School's Tai Chi Lottery family of approaches to Tai Chi. And by the way, like I said, we've done Molasses. I think that was the only other one from Lottery that we did. We have Minimal, which is really as little movement as possible. We have Mr. Roboto, which is very joint-oriented in our movement in Tai Chi. Molasses is possibly slow as possible. Round, you're really emphasizing the roundness of your movements. So you're finding the round, especially in the straight, but also emphasizing the round when it's round. Linear, so you're finding the straight and the round, as well as exploring, even deeper straightening in the straight. And Quicksilver. So some of those will probably come up in the future in these sessions as they move through the summer, at least for the Sachem folks. And I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you learned something. I hope you had a little fun. I hope it worked out. I hope you can still see and hear me. I don't know until I finish this video and go back and see what happened. So we'll be here next week on Tuesday morning for our last of these for the West Babylon folk and for the greater community. And though we won't be there Monday on Memorial Day for the Sachem folk, we will be back as we move into June and move through the summer with them. At this point, as I announced yesterday, for Sachem, the library is still closed until further notice, and the programs are canceled through June. So we might be back there in August, maybe not, we'll see. Also, I want to say a word about World Tai Chi Day. I did the live Facebook session. Water Tiger hosted that live session on April 25th for the original date. Bill Douglas had officially moved the international large group event to May 30th. I'm not sure the status of that at this point because I got an email, a weekly email, e-letter from Mr. Douglas and World Tai Chi, the taichi.org organization. And at the beginning of the email, they indicate they're canceling the group event. There won't be anything on May 30th. And then at the end of the very long email was, remember, we've rescheduled World Tai Chi Day for May 30th. So it's still up in the air. If it stays, then I'll do a live event on May 30th for the second World Tai Chi Day this year. You're welcome, Linda. See you this evening. I would say live, but we will be live, but we'll be face-to-face through Zoom. But anyway, so there's that. So as always, keep washing your hands. If you're out in public, wear a mask. Don't go out if you don't have to. Stay in and keep listening to those that know, the medical professionals and the scientists, as to when it is indeed safe to take the next step. So be aware, be safe, be well, and we'll see you the next time. Ta.